All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Can I just take down my shield and let you know something very personal about my past? Can I do that? Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
I dated a girl years and years, like 164 years ago.
Oh.
That's how long ago this was.
Okay.
And she went to a psychiatrist. And I didn't even know she was seeing a psychiatrist, but she was. And so she said to me, I see a psychiatrist. And I said, oh, I didn't know that. And she said, and she told me that I needed you to listen to this cassette. So I had a cassette. And the cassette was the psychiatrist talking to the lady who was my girlfriend at that time. Uh-huh. And this is what I hear my girlfriend say. My boyfriend, Larry, doesn't seem to take life seriously. He's always cutting up, making fun. Mm-hmm. And then you hear the psychiatrist, and it goes longer than that. And then you hear the psychiatrist go, I want you to take this to him. Larry, I know you're listening. The world is and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, why am I part of this?
She's blaming you for her problem.
Exactly. What? Wow. And I said, wait a minute here.
Wow.
I take things seriously. When my dog died, I cried. Remember? I cried when my dog died.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but that's the only time you ever took life seriously is when your dog died. The dog was 18 years old. I said, yeah, I know, but it was my whole life, basically.
Yeah.
Dr. Randy Kamen, I hope I just made you giggle a little bit. Dr. Kamen is on the phone. She's a psychologist, an educator. She has helped pioneer new territory in mind-body medicine for over 25 years. She has been integrating insight-oriented and cognitive behavioral therapy with holistic methods. She's a contributor to the Huffington Post, WebMD. She has her own weekly television show on MVTV called Strategies to Spark Your Week. Oh, that sounds good. She launched Blueberry Fields MV, which is a facility for retreats, workshops, and events on Martha's Vineyard. Oh my gosh, I love this lady already. Her book is called Behind the Therapy Door, which I got to listen to a little bit of. Good morning, Dr. Randy Kamen. Thank you for waiting through that long intro. Good morning, doctor.
Good morning. Thank you, Larry. That is very funny.
Yeah, I in my old story, I somehow felt at fault for whatever was going wrong with this lady, and I'm so glad. Yeah.
That was not your fault.
What would you have done if I went to you and said, every time I watch one of these shows, either a movie like Woody Allen, or who's the lady we like, Robin Myers, Nancy Myers?
Nancy Myers.
Do you know them? They always have characters that go to therapists all the time.
Right. They do, and that's just a reflection of them more than anything, and their own world.
Yeah. So
although, go ahead.
Well, I'm just wondering if the book is for me, because it's...
Well, chances are you could benefit from it. I wrote it about women, but it absolutely is relevant for men and any age group, because the stories that I told are really kind of universal stories. And the way you have to sort of, the challenges that come up in life are kind of universal. And many of us, that may not mean you, but many of us don't have good ways of coping with challenges and transitions as they arise. And once you develop a certain skill set, you're ready when things come up to better deal with them.
But aside from abusing drugs or other substances, isn't your way of dealing with your issues your way? Don't you know what's best for yourself? Like I said, aside from something that's going to be chemically altering yourself?
Right. Not necessarily.
No?
I think, we were not taught in grade school or kindergarten, for example, how to breathe in a way that supports us so that we don't get anxious, or how to be grateful so that we're coming from a more positive place and not such a negative, entitled place. A lot of stuff that we do is not necessarily helping us to stand for ourselves in our best interest.
Okay, now you just made me doubt that I know how to breathe.
Larry, probably it could be improved. You can improve. So what you're doing when you breathe is it's automatic, it's unconscious, it's one of those systems that we don't pay attention to, but when you make your breathing, for example, conscious and improve upon it, then you could make it unconscious again, and chances are you'll be feeling more relaxed, you'll be feeling, I don't know if you feel anxious or any of those symptoms, but chances are those things would quiet way down for you.
So that's
just by learning simple
there's not
technique.
There's not a single other creature that God has created that needs this lesson.
Well, animals don't need it. They know how to breathe. We need it because we've sort of been socialized out of learning how to be in our bodies, how to occupy our bodies in the healthiest way possible, and being in the moment and appreciating life and coming from a more positive perspective. We just anticipate the future and what's going to happen, and we dread, and we look at the past and we think about negative stuff, and it's not true for everybody, but many of us kind of retreat into negative spaces in our minds.
Do you know what you have on the list here? It says discover how to manage, and then there's a list, and one of them is empty nest. Let me tell you about my empty nest. Let me tell you why I needed you that day. Okay.
That day. I'm glad it only lasted a day.
Wait a minute. It lasted a weekend. Are you ready for something that really is really silly on my part? My son.
Yeah.
I live in Ocala, Florida. Embry-Riddle University is in Daytona, Florida, which means it's like an hour and a half away. My son went to Embry-Riddle when he started college. I cried for all Saturday and Sunday. I just cried. I cried.
And then you were done.
Then I was done. Yeah. And it's the stupidest thing. He's only an hour and a half. Do you know what I did? I bought him a TV, and I brought it over there as an excuse. I said, you need a TV. And he said that I have a TV. And I said, but this one is a color TV. And he said, all TVs are color.
That's very funny. Well, the truth is, with empty nest, you're not mourning so much that they're away, but that there's this big change that just happened.
Yeah.
Because chances are, maybe they'll come back to live. A lot of kids do now, but that this marks the beginning of the end of the relationship as it once was.
That's exactly true.
Mm. Yeah. So you're not going to be caring for your sweet boy anymore in the same way. He's still going to need you. He's going to need you forever.
I don't know how much you charge an hour, but you just earned about three minutes worth.
Great. I'm so pleased.
So who, when somebody reads a book like Behind the Therapy Door, does it serve as a surrogate therapist, or are we able to get that same kind of help from a book?
Well, in a way, what you get from this book are the strategies that will really support you in terms of navigating through difficult transitions. Anybody will get that from this book. It's a resource. You could go back to it time after time, and maybe you're having trouble forgiving somebody. So this book is a great resource because I give different strategies for how to learn how to forgive, how to learn how to deal with shame, how to learn how to deal with guilt. So we used to not know that these were teachable skills. So anybody that wants to learn these things would benefit from this. Now, somebody may still need therapy, but plenty of people don't need therapy that would just benefit by knowing how to do these things.
Let me ask you something. If you know somebody who you think is being delusional, let's say somebody wants to be the next star football player, okay? And that's somebody you love. And you say, you know what? You're so smart. You could be the next best mechanic or the next best accountant. That whole dream of being, but at the same time, you don't want to squelch somebody else's dreams. What do you tell the person who's trying to be an amateur therapist by analyzing somebody they love who they believe is being delusional?
Well, I think that's a really tough one, because when people have dreams about what they want, they may sometimes seem delusional, and sometimes they may be spot on. You don't.
Right.
I mean, unless you really know, sometimes dreams seem like, when I think of Richard Branson, who never went to college, I don't think he finished high school. And when I think of some of, the people that are out there that have accomplished so much, and everybody thought they were crazy, and then they
Good point.
did what they were after. So you never know. I'm not one to squash somebody's dreams with being realistic, because I think realistic stuff can hold us back. I love entertaining dreams, but keep your day job in the meantime.
Mm-hmm. You bring out about self-esteem in the book. I mean, sometimes people will have a lot of self-esteem and they seem to fly through life. Others have very low self-esteem and allow themselves to be manipulated by others and to not being anything at all.
Well, first of all, I just want to distinguish between self-esteem and self-compassion. It's good to have, we've always believed in the psychological world, it's good to have self-esteem, because it means that you have a healthy dose of feeling good about yourself. The problem with self-esteem is it's based on performance and outcome, and it's really something that it's evaluative. With self-compassion, what I teach people first before self-esteem, if they are lacking, is just to be self-loving, is to have self-compassion. And in the book, I teach people how to do that, how to really expand their potential for self-compassion. But if somebody's being manipulated and not standing in their own power, they really need to become and develop more mindfulness and know who they are. And the way you would develop that is by developing a stronger sense of self.
And that takes courage, though.
That takes courage and vulnerability, and it means sometimes you fail, and it means all kinds of things. Yeah.
The book is called Behind the Therapy Door, Simple Strategies to Transform Your Life. It's written by our guest, Dr. Randy Kamen. Where are you, Doctor? Where are you calling from?
I am actually calling from Massachusetts, from Martha's Vineyard.
Nice.
That seems like such a pretty place.
It is.
I want to go there one day. Is that where you grew up?
Yeah.
Did you grow up there?
No, I'm a New Yorker through and through. So I grew up in Brooklyn, and sort of after school lived in Boston for many years, and then made my way here in recent years.
I could hear that. I could hear I was going to guess Long Island, but I could hear the Brooklyn now.
Yeah.
Doctor, let me take a little break. We'll be right back with you. For the listeners, if you want to call, you are welcome to do that. The number is 622-9622. We'll be right back with Dr. Randy Kamen after the break. This is WOC. All right, 21 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. So I had this book one time called How to Hypnotize Yourself, right? And I was reading the book, How to Hypnotize Yourself, and I was thinking, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to breathe the way it says to breathe, and I couldn't get it to work. So I went back to the guy who recommended it, and I said, it didn't work. I can't hypnotize myself. I think it's impossible for me to be hypnotized. And he said, how come you went to McDonald's? I said, I love McDonald's. He said, well, they hypnotized you to go there. I said, no, they didn't. He swore up and down that they did, and the more I thought about it, I thought, yeah, you're probably right. All those advertisements did have an effect on me, so...
Oh, well, that's true.
There might be something to that, right?
Oh, there's more than something to that. Believe me, psychologists are involved in advertising and media big time. So they have to be.
So
they know how to, yeah.
So if we agree that there's a good, you could hypnotize somebody to have good choices... then those billboards along the highway that get me to stop at McDonald's might get me to stop at a smoothie shop or something, I guess.
Well, all of this stuff could be used for good or for evil, and I don't want to go into the ways it could be used for evil, but we know that, in the wrong hands, some of this, Powers of the Mind is we could change the way the brain functions by practicing certain skills. And that's what this whole book, it's all based on neuropsychology and the research. And that could be used either way, to hypnotize people and, for things that are not helpful, or to become more resourceful, more resilient, more personally empowered, more joyful, more purposeful, all of those things. And that's what I focus on, obviously. But yes, you could use hypnosis and it's used in warfare. It's used in all kinds of scary ways.
So in many common, when you hear people talk about fixing a problem, the first thing is you have to admit that there is a problem, right?
Yes.
So the person who picks up the book, who says, okay, I need this book because I'm always sad, or because I can't get out of being depressed after my divorce, or whatever it is, that person has to admit it before they can even start to use the information.
Well, they might also pick up the book and think, I don't know why, but I'm curious about this book. I don't know. It's just something is telling me read this book. And they may not know that they haven't identified the problem. Then they start reading a book. And they see a section on divorce, or they see a section on losing a loved one, or empty nest, or sandwich. They see whatever they see, and then they think, "Oh my goodness, this really relates to me. I am going through exactly this thing. I didn't even know that this was relevant for me, but something drew me to the book, and now there's a whole way that I could be learning some skills to cope with this and roll with this in a much more powerful way, in a much more effective way, where it could save people literally years of struggle, because losses don't necessarily have to take years for us to overcome. What you want to learn to do is deal with them and know that losses take as long as they take, but at the same time be taking care of yourself and living your life as best as you can during that time, so that you're not waiting to overcome the divorce before you could start living your life again.
Wow.
That, okay, you feel sadness,
right,
but you can move on.
And that's one thing that you do with your book. I mean, you find the super great balance between emotions that are extremely painful, but then you also balance it out with all of the positiveness that one has felt throughout their lifetime. That's hard.
Well, yes, you don't who wants to waste their lives mourning a loss and not being, obviously we have to mourn certain losses. There's no way around it. But we want to get back on track with our lives and maybe find a way to hold that sadness in a certain way so that we could still go on with our lives and not waste 2 years or 3 years or however long mourning certain losses. We may still feel the grief, but it doesn't mean, okay, I'm not going out for a year, or I'm not doing anything until I get over this. Some people, it could take 10 years to get over a divorce. That's not healthy.
Do you ever find people coming to you for advice on how to train another person? When we watch dog trainers, like on those videos, it's amazing that they almost all work. Like the idea of to get a dog to sit works on every dog.
Yeah.
Right. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, but people are we different than that, or do you have the same solution? Somebody who's sad because of a divorce. Okay, I'm over it. I got it. I went to the therapist, and let me tell you what she told me, and I can help you. Or are we all different?
Well, there's a certain way that we're all unique, yes, but there's a certain way that we're all the same. And there are certain biological ways and even emotional ways that are universal. So, for example, if you start out your day and the first thoughts out of your mind are negative, then chances are you're setting yourself up and you're thinking about that crappy divorce and how awful that was, and I have a long day in front of me, and this is going to really be rough, and God, I feel so lonely. And if you start your day out like that, chances are it's not going to be such a good day. Because what we do is we lay a foundation in the morning, and that's cumulative over time. So what I do is lay out in the book morning, afternoon, and evening rituals that only take a few minutes. You could do them very, very easily, integrate them into your day to start out your day, not in an unrealistic way, but in a way that is more on where you're rooting for your own team. You're not starting your day by saying, I'm fat, I'm ugly, I'm this, I'm that, which a lot of women do.
Exactly.
Or that, right. And instead you're saying something like, I'm going to create an awesome day for myself. And taking a few minutes to relax first by doing the deep breathing that I talk about in the book, only for a minute or two. And because when you're relaxed, your mind, your brain is receptive to suggestion, like what you were talking about in hypnosis. And as I said, that could be used for good or for evil. So you could program into your brain some very negative stories, or you could do the opposite and say, I'm going to make this the best day I possibly can, or this is going to be the best Monday ever. And what do you think the brain does when it's hearing that information? Because your brain just takes it in. It doesn't know the difference.
It's very amazing, really, what you have studied and what you're sharing with us. The book is called Behind the Therapy Door. Dr. Randy Kamen, as people look up. Do you have a website you can direct us to, Doctor?
Yes, I have a website that I will direct you to, and also I put together a free audio on breathing, teaching how to do the breathing strategy.
I need that.
Anybody can access that.
Yeah, I know that's one of my shortcomings right now. Is it
okay, and just remember, the relaxation occurs on the exhalation, not the inhalation.
That's what she said
really
to me. All right.
Okay, so it's Dr. Randy, Dr. Randy with a Y, Randy, Kamen, KAMEN.com is my website, and you could get the book there or go to your local bookstore or Amazon. And then to get the free audio, it's the same. It's Dr. Randy with a Y, KAM as in Michael, EN as in Nancy.com /breathe, BREATHE.
There you go.
And then you'll get the email. You'll get the audio.
All right, very good. Well, I just might download it just so I can listen to you some more.
Good.
Doctor, thank you so much for being on the air. That was a fun interview
you,
about a serious topic.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
You're awesome.
We'll be right